Hey everybody, I hope and pray that you're doing well today as we come to our word from the word. And today that word is action. Action. Now, it's a big gap as far as in scripture from the time that we see, as we've been talking about prayer and conversations with God. Basically, where we left off in Exodus 19, we saw a warning about Moses was getting ready to go up on the mountain with God. And then from there to today, we're going to be in Exodus chapter 32. All of that in between is great instruction from God and very specific instructions as God is giving them the Ten Commandments. He's giving them other laws and other guidelines for how they're to handle all different types of situations. And then God goes on to give explicit and direct instructions as to how they were to be building the tabernacle that was to be with them everywhere. So how they were supposed to build that, the Ark of the Covenant, all of that. So some great details, and I encourage you, as always, to look through and read these passages just to see how God does care for the details. I think so often we get caught up in thinking that, maybe the details don't matter, but this is a great few chapters here to see how important that is. Now, with all of that, we see God is putting all this out there. He's giving all these great instructions and telling them how they're to do sacrifices, atonement for sin, and all the things. He goes on and on and on about all these details. And then he comes to the very end of their time together there, and 40 days, 40 nights, Moses has been up on the mountain, and we find that God tells him, look, you need to get back down there because I'm getting ready to wipe them all out right now. And you think, wait a minute, God, what has changed? What's happened? Well, the people, as you read, will they come to Aaron and they're like, look, we don't know what happened. Who's this God that brought us out of Egypt? And now the prophet, Moses, that brought us out, he's been up on the mountain for a while now, and we're not really sure what's happened to him. So they come together and they put all their gold and they make this golden image of a calf and say, hey, this is the God that brought you out of Egypt. And I mean, just so quickly, it's, they're out of Egypt, but Egypt isn't out of them. And we know it takes years and years for that to truly happen. And whether or not it really did or really will until Jesus returns is, for us all to kind of look at and for the Lord to judge. But today, that word action is I want us to see that Moses doesn't just sit idly by and say, okay, well, Lord, just, I didn't want to do this anyway, so just wipe them out. No, in Exodus chapter 32, in verse 11, this is right after God has told him what the people were doing. Moses says in verse 11, then Moses pleaded with the Lord his God and said, Lord, why does your wrath burn hot against your people, whom you have brought out of the land of Egypt with great power and with a mighty hand? Why should the Egyptians speak and say, he brought them out to harm them, to kill them in the mountains, and to consume them from the face of the earth? Turn from your fierce wrath and relent from this harm to your people. Remember Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, your servants, to whom you swore by your own self and said to them, I will multiply your descendants as the stars of heaven. And all this land that I have spoken of, I give to your descendants, and they shall inherit it forever. So the Lord relented from the harm which he said he would do to his people. See, here's the thing. God was ready to spring into action and to go ahead and pour out his wrath and his anger on the Israelites. And then we talked about this Sunday, even as we were wrapping up our Hosea series, that the whole book of Hosea is kind of back and forth between God wanting and needing to pour out his wrath, but at the same time abiding by his part of the covenant and showing us what really unconditional love truly looks like. But see, here he is ready to pour out his judgment on the people, and Abraham is quick. Now he is pleading on behalf of the people. He is intercessory prayer, as we've talked about before, is one of the most important types of prayers that you and I can have. See, so often we sit by and we watch other people struggle and we watch other people being punished. But when is the last time we ever interceded on their behalf? Now, I mean, it's still up to God on what he's going to do, but here Moses is quick to say, look, God, if you do this, then the Egyptians, right, the enemy, is going to be able to say, well, look, that we thought that was the true God because of all the things that happened, but look, all he did was bring them out so he could kill them himself. And so he's kind of saying, look, this would not be a good testimony of what you're doing and what you have done. And so God relents on what he's doing. Now, we could spend a lot of time talking about how Moses changed, quote unquote, changed the mind of God. But there's some things that we'll see even this week in their relationship together, Moses and God. But it's because of intercessory prayer. It's because he saw that there was a need, and he was quick to get to action. Now, that's my challenge for us today. And I believe that's what God is challenging me with and with you with today is that, man, we need to jump into action. When we see the world falling apart, we see churches falling apart. We see families falling apart, nations falling apart, friendships, relationships, all falling apart. Let's not just sit by and kind of eat our popcorn or stay glued in on our phones where we miss everything else that's going on. No, let's be quick to spring into action. Let's be quick to be intercessory prayers, right? Prayer warriors for others, to be intercessors. I pray that today we would be quick to action. God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.